for every third Friday of the month. It is a great opportunity to just tap into some education around all things related to DDA and how it can support you or your loved one or individuals in which you serve in them navigating any part of the process for DDA or services, or just to gain just a little bit more educational how services can support them or resources are there and available to our individual population in which we work with. Before we kick off with allowing Kiana to bring forth information around knowing your resources, I have a few individuals, one in particular I see on my screen right now, that I would like to introduce to you guys. Roxanne Williams is one of our newest team managers here at the center. I'm not going to steal her moment to shine by giving you too much information about who she is. She will do that in her introduction. Be patient with her because she didn't even know that she will be introducing herself. So she's being put on the spot right now. But this is a great opportunity I love for the audience to understand who the team managers are, the members of our leadership team, so that when you do interact with CCSs or team managers, you kind of have a face to go along with the name. So go ahead, Roxanne, if you don't mind, introducing yourself to our audience, letting them know a little bit about you, the team you supervise.
Hi, good morning. My name is Roxanne. I also go by Roxy. I am the newest team manager, as Cheryl mentioned. I oversee the Starling team within our DDA program here at the Coordinating Center. I started as a CCS last October with the Coordinating Center and was promoted to a team manager in June of this year. And I look forward to supporting our entire team and any individuals that we serve. My background mostly is in behavioral health before I joined the coordinating center, and I had over 10 years of experience working in behavioral health and more so a clinical role.
And it has been a pleasure working alongside Roxanne and her expertise that she brings to the role as a team manager. So we are excited to have her. Thank you, Roxanne, for introducing yourself. Before, again, we turn it over to Kiana, let's just go over a few things, maintenance regarding this session. Kiana will be presenting. Do take the opportunity that as questions come about or you think of something that you want to participate in way of conversation, you can use the chat feature of Zoom to jot any questions or put any questions. Myself and Heidi monitor the chat, and at times I'm able to provide a more of a real-time response. If not, Kiana does pause throughout the presentation, and then again at the end to take any questions. Following the presentation, depending on what the questions are and how much time we have left, we do open up the floor for our providers to introduce their agency. Prior to doing so, I will lay out or have a few acts around how that introduction happens, and that will be given right before we open up the floor to providers. So without any further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to our lovely program manager, Kiana Huxtable Muse, to present to you the presentation for today.
Thank you, Sherelle, and good morning, everyone. So we're going to go over knowing your resources today from community supports available for individuals with developmental disabilities. Next slide, Heidi. All right, so our agenda objectives are going to be going over why it's important to know what your resources are. We're going to touch on some housing support services, low intensity support services, DOORS, which is also known as the Division of Rehabilitation Services, how individuals in DDA can obtain vehicle modifications, and then we'll also talk about accessible recreational resources. Next slide, Heidi. Okay, so why does knowing your resources matter? There are many supports that exist beyond waiver funded services. So that's why we wanted to do a presentation for all of you to kind of get to know what's open and available to you outside of a DDA waiver. Some of the resources we'll talk about are also a part of waiver funded services. So we'll talk about both. These resources can help individuals live more independently, access affordable housing, obtain employment, improve transportation options. It can help them participate in community activities and increase their overall quality of life. So just a tip, the earlier you learn about more resources, the better prepared you will be to use them. Next slide.
Kiana, 1 second. I just realized I have the wrong deck up.
Oh, okay.
I apologize. We're just gonna roll with it. I apologize. Keep going.
No worries. Are you sure, Heidi?
Um, you know how this goes with these slide decks. We're good. You're go ahead.
Okay. Housing support services is a service that is actually offered through DDA. And there's different types that can be offered across the state of Maryland. So housing support services do help individuals secure housing and navigate housing systems. The goal of the service is to support individuals in living in the community of their choice. And there are four different types of affordable housing programs in Maryland. The first one is Housing Choice Voucher. The second one is known as the DDA Rent Subsidy Program. There is something known as Section 811 Project Rental Assistance, and then affordable apartment programs. So what I'll focus on today is really the one that DDA offers. And then there's some additional information that Heidi will send to everybody on the call about the programs outside of DDA. Next slide. All right, so how does somebody become eligible through DDA for housing support services? DDA individuals may be eligible if they are enrolled or pursuing enrollment in the DDA waiver program, if they have a housing-related need identified through person-centered planning. Some common reasons that individuals can request this service is if they're living with aging caregivers, they're, let's say, preparing to move from their family home, they're transitioning from a licensed residential setting, they may be at risk of homelessness, or they may need assistance to find affordable housing. So those are some common things that you can talk to your CCS if they are a DDA participant about, and see if they can help you find like a provider that offers housing support services. Individuals who may be eligible include anybody um, that is 18 or older, anyone that does have household income at or below 50% of the area median income, that AMI that you may hear about, anybody that does meet the DDA eligibility requirements could be eligible for a DDA housing support services, or if they are seeking community-based opportunities. And then it also goes by need. So priority may be given to individuals who are experiencing homelessness, individuals that are living with aging caregivers, maybe age 55 or older, and then other individuals with significant housing needs identified through their PCP process. So there definitely, it is a service, and housing support services should be seen as like the navigator. And the rent subsidy is going to be that financial assistance. So we'll talk about that in the next slide. Next slide, Heidi. I think. All right. So you may ask yourself how housing support services connects you to the DDA rent subsidy program. That's a big question that we get often. So housing support services, like I said, that's equivalent to being like the navigator. And that typically is that provider that will help you find affordable options. So a housing support service provider helps individuals explore housing options, identify affordable housing opportunities. They can help the client complete housing applications through DDA. They can help gather required documentation for the client. They can help address any barriers such as like poor credit, lack of rental history, or missing identification. And they can also support the client with applying for rental assistance programs, including DDA rent subsidy, including the DDA rent subsidy program. So that's the piece of DDA that can connect participants to some support. That program does help individuals afford housing by reducing the amount they pay toward rent, generally about 30% of their income toward rent. Okay, so it is a really, really amazing support that's offered through DDA. Next slide. The process to obtain that looks like The individual actually identifying a housing goal in their PCP process. This service is offered if somebody is enrolled in a DDA waiver. So they do have to be enrolled or they have to be pursuing DDA services or deemed eligible to pursue DDA services. Your CCS will have a meeting with you, discuss what that service looks like, and they'll connect you to a provider in the community that offers housing support services. And they'll complete a housing assessment and identify some needs and barriers for your loved one. That provider will also assist with housing applications and subsidy opportunities. If eligible, the individual may be connected to the DDA rent subsidy program. And those housing support services continue supporting the individual with their tenancy, communication with the landlord, and any annual recertifications and housing stability. Housing support services also help you find and keep housing. The DDA rent subsidy helps you pay for housing. So that's how they should be viewed. The housing support service is the guide, and the rent subsidy is the payment. Okay. Next slide. All right. So before I go to each service, I'm going to pause for questions because I know there may be questions about specific services. Any questions about housing support services before I move on?
I
Yes.
have a question. Oh,
Okay.
Hi, Sophia. Am I saying that right?
safer. That's
Safa.
okay. Thank you. I have the question that I'm a caregiver, and you talked about being support and help for, rental and housing, but what about intellectual disabilities, people with that, and that's unable to live by themselves? And if anything happens to the caregiver that makes them unable to continue care, what happens and what do you do?
That's a great question, Safa. So there's other services that can accompany housing support services when they are requested. So there's something known as support services that can be outsourced through DDA, that same provider might be able to offer in the home that can accompany the housing support services. So that is a great question to also pose to your CCS if you have one. They can walk you through how to get both identified.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Anyone else, feel free to unmic.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So we currently have an individual who was in the residential program, and unfortunately, things didn't go well there, so he had to leave the residential program and came to our agency, but now he wants to leave by himself, and we're trying to see if we could get him, some kind of support through HSS. Now, I think I'm not sure if it's HSS or maybe another program, but they had mentioned that because he didn't have some letter of being what's it called, evicted, or where he was in distress or something like that, and they couldn't expedite it. So they just put him on a list. So is this a different kind of program? And what is the best contact email or contact information to contact HSS at this point?
I have an actual PowerPoint from the state that Heidi's going to send after the presentation of, who you can contact for housing support services broader than DDA, and that it has contact information also that could
Oh,
be helpful to you. So I will make sure to send that.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we can jump to the next service. Okay, so low intensity support services is amazing. This is a service that's offered to waitlist clients who have been deemed eligible for DDA waitlist support. So the low intensity support services, also known as LIST program, provides flexible funding to help children and adults with developmental disabilities meet immediate needs and increase independence at home and in the community. You may ask yourself, so who can apply? Individuals who live in Maryland, have an intellectual or developmental disability, individuals who are not receiving DDA funded waiver services, individuals who are on the DDA waitlist. And in order to apply, you do have to be selected at random through their application process, which is going on right now. So I'll share some information. And if you do have a loved one on the DDA waitlist, please enter your application for LIST. The funding available is up to $1,000 per fiscal year. And the next slide will go over what services that can be funded through LIST. Next slide, Heidi. Okay, so what can LIST pay for? What can low intensity support services pay for? They can pay for assistive technology, adaptive equipment, respite care, summer camps, childcare, transportation, community recreation, and the list goes on. Home modifications, you pretty much a good amount of services, okay? In order to access lists, this PowerPoint will be sent to you guys, and I did hyperlink the PowerPoint to the actual application. So you do have to complete the random selection application. If you're selected, you do have to submit the required eligibility documentation that's on the application. It'll spell it all out for you. And then you do work with the list program contractor, which right now I believe is Penmar and Maryland Community Connections. They're also listed on the application as well. So that link was open August 1st, and then the online access link will close September 15th. Random selection takes place on October 2026. So I want to make sure you guys have these dates. This is fiscal year 27 round one, and they typically do 2 rounds. So I think this is the second round. The first round occurred earlier in the year, in the fiscal year. Well, this might be the second round. This might be the first round because the fiscal year starts July 1st. So there's another round coming, but please, if you have a client on the wait list, this is a great resource and it can open up a lot of support. Next slide, Heidi. All right, so we're gonna pause. Any questions about low intensity support services for waitlist clients?
Have a question. So for a wellness program, would they cover like things like swimming classes or any kind of recreational classes or sports?
They can cover recreational processes or anything that can support healthy wellness and living. I would refer to the application to confirm. And I would also look into the program contractors with the state, Penmar or Maryland Community Connections. They can probably really clarify what exactly they can cover. But on that website, the application does spell, you know, everything out as to what's specifically available. But recreation is a category.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sapa?
Hi again. The list program of my individual used to go or used to use lists and go to camp every year. But of course now she's 69 years old, so she wouldn't really go to camp. But why is it that the list and she was going to the adult day center? So why is it list stop if you're have a waiver and at an adult day center that you're unable to use list funds? So it's like to remodel um her bathroom for disabilities that she's no longer able to, or things that she's unable to do in the shower, like a shower chair or something like
Mhm.
that. You couldn't use list funds for that or request.
Sure. So my understanding is that the specific waiver program, should accompany either a Medicaid program like CFC or other waiver programs that can work alongside that
Hmm.
waiver she's currently in to provide that service. And you said she's in medical day waiver currently.
Yes.
Okay. Um, that is something that maybe it need to be explored through the waiver because list is specifically for waitlist clients. So because the waiver is supposed to give you more, it's supposed to give you like more access, a great deal more than a
Well,
waitlist.
who do
Yeah.
you contact or who do you talk to if for the waiver program? Is that not through DDA?
So medical day waiver should accompany a coordinator. Um, and we do have that waiver here, so I can look into it internally and maybe get you some more information about who you actually contact, but it should accompany a coordinator assigned to your loved one
Well,
or assigned
that's,
to your
I
client.
thought you guys were the coordinating center. You're,
We are.
We are the coordinating center, and we do hold the medical daycare waiver. However, our department that Keon and I work under is specific to DDA. So we can partner with or reach out to the director for that specific waiver and get you in contact with that person to answer your question as it is specific to the medical daycare waiver.
um, yeah, and I have another question, but I hate to be dominating the conversation and um presentation. But speaking of that coordinator, she's had four different coordinators in 3 months from, and they actually visited here at the house to visit her. Um, and I mean, they take information, but nothing happens. She's on a
Mm,
waiting list for like 350 person on a waiting list. So I don't know.
I'm sorry to hear that she's been through so many coordinators. That would also be something that you can address with that director. If you can and you're comfortable, maybe your work email or work cell phone, phone number. If you could drop that information in the chat, I can send it over to that director who is Tangen Walker to reach out to you.
Okay. Thank you
Thank you.
for your information.
No problem. Any other questions?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Uh, I'm kind of coming in on the end. I've been strolling through my emails trying to find the Zoom link.
Oh.
So, what was the topic of conversation?
We're presenting on some resources that are available
Oh,
for individuals who are qualifying for DDA.
gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kiana, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. So that's low intensity support services that are offered to waitlist participants in DDA. All right, next service. Next slide, Heidi. All right. So another service that's offered through DDA is known as vehicle modifications. Vehicle modifications are adaptations made to a person's primary means of transportation to increase community access, improve independence, enhance safety, and remove some transportation barriers. Examples of that can include wheelchair lifts, hand controls, transfer seats, accessible driving equipment, passenger accessibility adaptations as well. So you may ask yourself who's eligible for a vehicle modification in DDA. If they're a part of DDA, they do need to be enrolled in a DDA waiver to receive this kind of service. Okay, so this is a waiver service. This isn't for DDA waitlist participants. And it does need to have a documented need in their PCP when it's requested. The client does need to complete a vehicle modification assessment, obtain a prescription from a driver rehabilitation specialist, and DOORS does offer that. And then they also they either need to own a vehicle or use a vehicle owned by a caregiver or a legal representative. The funding limit for this service is up to $15,000 over a 10-year pay period. Okay. Next slide. So I'll tell you guys about how you can access vehicle modification. So you do want to talk to your CCS through DDA and the team and kind of discuss your transportation needs. That would be the first step. The next step would be to go out and obtain that vehicle modification assessment. You do want to make sure that you complete an adaptive driving evaluation, and DOORS can really help you navigate that entire process. So I would definitely secure a placement with DOORS, which we'll talk about in this presentation as well. And you do want to make sure that you're submitting thorough documentation through the PCP process as well. An important reminder is that other funding sources before DDA is explored for a vehicle modification do need to be explored. That's how they set the waiver up. So you should look into private insurance, maybe some resources through Medicaid, what else doors can provide outside of working alongside DDA, Maryland State Department of Education, and then the Department of Human Services. So I would explore your options. There are some private insurance agencies that will offer some modifications, and Medicaid outside of DDA. Next slide, Heidi.
Excuse me, just for a second. Uh, I'm trying to make sure I understand what you just explained. So, my daughter's disabled. She's in a motorized wheelchair. Um, because I was having so many issues with the Maryland transportation picking her up and being on time and waiting for hours for them to return because they wouldn't give you couldn't give a return pickup time. You just called them when you was ready, but then it would take hours for them to get back to you. So it became a lot of stress, even with using Metro, uh, that we purchased a modified lift van to transport her back and forth. So, are you saying that we maybe could have gotten some assistance with purchasing a vehicle or just adding modifications to it?
So if she was enrolled in the DDA waiver program, there
She
may have
is.
been an opportunity for her to get some support through a vehicle modification service, as long as she was deemed eligible through her person-centered plan process. So it is an available service. Can I say that there's a guarantee that she would have gotten them approved? I can't say that, but
Mhm.
there is a service that can be explored in the future, and it's annually assessed too. So, if anything should happen to the vehicle that you have now, um, I would definitely explore this service with your CCS.
Okay. All right. I appreciate getting this information. Is very informative.
Good.
And
I'm
uh, for its equipment, I'm kind of backtracking a little bit because
That's okay.
she is in a motorized wheelchair, so we've had several issues with the chair, but National Seating and Rehab have been doing uh, what they can. Actually, we got a repair that we've been waiting months for that's coming in next month to repair on her chair. Uh, and at that time, I'll find out for sure what's the length of time before she can upgrade to another chair because
Mhm.
it's we have had issues with the equipment on the chair and them having to constantly replace different electronic parts on it. And it's sometimes become a headache, very much so, a big headache. But it's it's good. I will talk with our support planner. Sometimes she have to do a little research herself on a lot of stuff because she's new too. And like the other lady said, we went through so many different support planners consistently. That was really beginning to be a headache. Um, so right now, the one that we do have. Hopefully, she will be with us for a while so she can continue to follow through and know what we stand in need for. Uh, so we're also looking for another assistant living to move my daughter out of the one that she's currently in into another one, hopefully better. But I won't hold up your time. I'll uh, I'll cover this with her support planner.
Miss Jackie, just for your knowledge, thank you for sharing. Replacement for medical equipment, Medicaid usually covers that every 5 to 7 years, but the factors are very varying. So you are correct in that your support planner would be the best resource to help you navigate that. But standard, it is typically 5 to 7 years, depending on some other external factors. Thank
Right.
you again for sharing. Kiana, you can
Yes, I did
continue.
find that out.
Mhm.
'Cause right
Mhm.
now, the Hoyer lift that she had is broken, and we've only had it like a year and a half,
Hmm.
and we can't find a place to repair it.
Okay.
And now we're stuck without a Hoyer lift.
I'm
So,
sorry. So sorry to hear that.
mhm.
I'm hoping,
Okay.
hopefully, you guys can find something sooner than later. Um, and we're gonna go ahead and let Kiana go through the next one. Thank you, Miss
Okay.
Jackie.
All right. Thank you so much.
No problem. Good question.
I'm sorry, I
All
have a
right.
quick question, please, if you don't mind. This is just real quick. Does this apply to providers as well? Providers that have to make modifications to the vans that are used to support individuals with using wheelchairs or other equipment?
So the service is offered through DDA. So if a provider is requesting a vehicle modification, they would have to abide by those same guidelines for the CCS to put in the plan.
Okay. I have
Mhm.
to put in the plan that the provider would have to make modifications to the vehicle. Is that what it is?
If you want to request it through like their PCP,
Okay.
then that guidance is pulled directly from the guidelines
Okay.
for service authorization and billing that DDA offers to the state. I mean, to all CCS agencies and provider agencies. So if there's something more specific to how you can outsource it as just a provider, your provider liaison for the region would be a good contact.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So we're going to jump to doors and talk a little bit about doors can be a good resource too, that works alongside DDA. So DOOR stands for the Division of Rehabilitation Services. The Maryland Division of Rehabilitation Services helps individuals with disabilities prepare for, obtain, maintain, and advance in employment. Some services that the doors can support with is career counseling, job exploration, vocational training, all things job related, really, and vehicle modification assessments and driving evaluations. So if you aren't connected with doors and you're interested in vehicle modifications, which is why I put this after we talked about vehicle modifications, I would definitely recommend, having your CCS submit a referral to doors. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry. So in order to access doors, individuals can apply directly through the actual website. You do need to be referred by a CCS. They can be referred by a CCS or anyone on that person's team, a caregiver, the provider can apply on behalf of the client for a doors referral. It could be a transition team from the school or a family member. And a tip is just try your best to connect with doors early, especially during high school transition planning, any type of employment exploration. If that is something you're looking into for your loved one, it would be a good idea to look into doors, and then any type of post-secondary education planning. That's also recommended. Doors works alongside DDA in various services. Okay. Any questions about doors and how it can be used? Next slide, Heidi. I think the next slide is questions. Oh, any questions before we move on? Okay. Some accessible recreation that we do offer in DD that is available in Maryland. I put this on here because recreation is important too. The Department of Disabilities does support accessible recreation opportunities through programs such as accessible boating. This is a really cool resource that we just learned about. So it does offer the grant program offers support for sailing, boating, kayaking, canoeing, and all of the activities are tailored toward individuals with disabilities, or even service disabled veterans, and any eligible companion may be able to accompany the participant also, such as family members or a direct support professional. And then I did put some resources on this slide for you guys. So there's something known as CRAB, Chesapeake Region Accessible Boating, the Downtown Sailing Center, and then Maryland Department of Natural Resources. So if that's an interest, or if you feel your loved one enjoys activities over the summer outside, this could be a good resource that is recreational to them. Next slide, Heidi. Oh, okay. This is the slide deck that we were talking about. So that concludes our presentation. I hope it was informative and helpful. And I will have Heidi send out some resources to all of you that can help
Thank
you.
you.